But what about Bible college, Melissa? You haven't even mentioned Bible college in here once. Don't you know that I'm a Christian girl and my natural instinct is go to Bible college? Why didn't you mention Bible college? Here we go. Pros and cons of Bible college. I did go to a Bible college. I have my master's degree in biblical counseling. I also love Bible college and I came out of it debt-free. But here is my insight on the pros and cons, especially in regards to financial independence. Pro of Bible college. It provides a safe and a transitional space from home life to independence. That was probably why I went there. I moved away from home and it did help me to become independent in a Christian environment, and it was really what I needed. So some people might be in that scenario, but the con is that it can delay your independence by just extending that school days mindset. Well, I'm just in school. I'm just going to have, a minimum wage job during this season. I'm not really going to look towards how to become financially independent. I'm just still a kid, just in a different environment. I don't have to grow up just yet. And that can really happen to anybody. It can happen in any college situation, but it feels more spiritual when you're at Bible college. Number 2, a pro. It can foster biblical understanding and growth. And in some cases, I was a pastor's daughter, but I still really needed that. And it was a wonderful thing for me. It is what propelled me into biblical counseling, and biblical counseling, that degree taught me so many practical skills in life that I am forever grateful for. But number 2, it can also foster resentment against true biblical sanctification, because some colleges have super strict guidelines that don't seem realistic or even biblical, and their cultural standards are maybe Romans 14, to where they have this high level of rules because they don't want to offend anybody, or maybe it's just to protect themselves from liability. But it can cause people to walk away from there and say, oh, well, the Christian life is just fake and it's not biblical, and they really, really hate those rules and go completely the other direction. So on one side, it could actually help you to love the Lord and grow closer to God, become more Christ-like. On the other side, it can cause you to be angry and bitter. Number 3, a pro. Depending on your degree, it can progress you towards a chosen line of work or ministry. If your heart is towards the ministry, especially if you are a male, Bible college is essential if you're going to be a missionary or a pastor. Not that I wouldn't also recommend a trade school, but that's for something I'll talk about later. But in the case, I have mentioned a few times in this that Pensacola Christian has an engineering degree, a nursing degree, and an accounting degree, and those are all fields that can pay the bills, job fields that can pay the bills. And so that's a Bible college scenario where it can help you in the secular work field, whereas some other Bible colleges might be very geared towards ministry and Bible and pastoring or missionary work, but aren't so great in the providing financially for your situation. So that is number 3. The con of that is you can waste valuable time and also money on pursuing a degree that won't help pay your bills. So if you are not 100% certain that you are going to be in the ministry, you're going to be marrying somebody in the ministry, I would just double check what path you're heading down. Number 4, a pro, is you could wisely choose a Bible college or Bible institute that teaches at night and facilitates you learning a trade school and having a job during the day while still preparing for ministry. I know that our church has a Bible institute that has night classes for that exact reason, and we have a lot of married men and young men coming in who want to support themselves financially, who work a full-time job during the day, and then they go to institute from, I think it's 6:30 to 9:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. And that's a perfect situation if your heart is to be in the ministry, but you also need to learn a trade during the daytime or have a job during the daytime. But number 4, you could, as a con, go to a college that costs tens of thousands of dollars. You all know who those are. And they won't allow you the time to work a full-time job, and especially not a job that pays well. Sometimes you can't even go off campus to get a job, and you end up with unsecured debt, which is not biblical. And so it just becomes more of that college life versus purposeful education. Number 5, as far as a pro, you could meet a godly, ministry-minded man or some good husband candidates. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why girls go to Bible colleges, and I'm not against that. It is a great place to meet like-minded people, especially if your career path is already on a direction, a job field is on a direction. It is a great opportunity if you can afford it, and it is beneficial to you in your long-term goals. But on the flip side, you could get caught up in a bad relationship by assuming that everyone at a Bible college is godly. Because I have seen so many people get married in those first 3 years of Bible college and then end up divorced within the next 7 years. So don't just assume that every guy at Bible college is godly or has a heart for the Lord. They might just be there because their parents want them to go there. Or they might just be struggling and hiding their sins really, really well. You have to be cautious. Number 6, you can make great friends and connections in ministry for life. And this is especially helpful if you are marrying someone. 100% you're marrying somebody who's going into missions or the ministry, because that networking ability and the people who trust you just because you went to the same college as they did is huge when you're going out on deputation for support. And for that, I cannot think of any cons in regards to the godly friends that you make while you're at Bible college, especially if you're going into the ministry. 7, you are more prepared to work in ministries, depending on the heart and direction of the college and how expensive it is. Some colleges are businesses. That's what they're doing. I know they might be church colleges, but their heart is going towards the contemporary Christian mindset. They're there to pay their bills because they have insurmountable debt due to all their buildings and their land. And so if your heart is towards the ministry, be very, very, very choosy about where you would go to a Bible colleges. Not all Bible colleges are created equal. On the con side of that, if you have a heart for ministry, you need to understand that ministries don't pay the bills. If you go to a Bible college and you get a degree in teaching, it's not accredited, so you're not going to be able to get a job at a public school. And I'm telling you, Christian schools, they do not have a large budget. You're going to be working for probably minimum wage, and that doesn't pay the bills. Teaching at a Christian school is a ministry, and it's a wonderful ministry if you can do it, but it is not a high-paying job. It will not pay your bills. And in my personal opinion, that's probably why a lot of wonderful candidates for teachers are women who don't have children at home, and so they can use that time, and their husband has a job to pay the majority of their bills, and so these women can use that as an outlet and a ministry to the Christian school and to the church to minister to those children. But also pastors, a lot of them have to become bivocational. You would be surprised how many people vote Republican and yet have to be on welfare, or their wives are not stay-at-home moms, they're not keepers at homes, but they're out there working a full-time job so that they can have insurance or just to pay the bills, because it seems very, very spiritual for the husband to do the Lord's work, but it doesn't always pay. And so that's why I recommend for a man who's going to be in the ministry to have a trade. But this is to women, so I'm putting that out there. Counseling does not pay the bills. Social work, music ministries, yes, it will help you to serve your church better, and that is a wonderful thing to do. But you have to keep those two things generally separate. as a general rule of thumb, you need to have a way to pay your bills. And Bible college very often is not the place to get that type of education. And 8, if you are a missionary kid coming home to the States, it can give you a place to live and a chance to learn a career at a lower cost. And I really can't see any downside for that. If you are coming home and you have no home, you have no real viable career path, and you go through all of these choices, I just think that it's a beautiful thing to be able to have a campus that you can live on and learn a career inexpensively. Yeah, so those are my pros and cons of Bible college. This is the final video in this series. I think that as you have gone through all of these things and prayed about it and sought wise counsel, as you go through these steps, you will have a broad understanding of how to take these next steps towards financial independence.